Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this public hearing of council in order on March 23rd. Thanks, everyone, for attending. This public hearing is being held for council's consideration of a rezoning application and a related land use bylaw text amendment. Council is considering an application to rezone 160 Main Street, PID 552-46573, from the 1 and 2 unit dwelling R2 zone to the medium density residential R3 zone. In addition, council is considering an amendment to the land use bylaw respecting change of use within existing buildings. The intent of the text amendment is to facilitate the proposed conversion of existing bed and breakfast units into residential dwelling units. This amendment would apply townwide where the relevant provisions of the land use bylaw apply. This hearing is an opportunity for the public to share their views before council makes a decision. The process will follow. Planning staff will present the application. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Members of the public will be invited to provide comments. The applicant will then have an opportunity to respond to any comments, and each speaker will have up to 5 minutes. And when you do come up, we ask you to state your name and address before speaking. All comments will be directed through the chair. And just a reminder that council will not be making any decisions at this session, but it will come up at our council meeting following tonight. So there will be no debate during this public hearing. And just a reminder, this is a formal meeting of council, so I ask all participants to remain respectful and avoid interruptions and allow each speaker an opportunity to be heard. Comments, again, will be directed through the chair. So I now invite our Director of Planning to begin.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So I'm here to give a bit of a breakdown on the application itself, which is a rezoning for 160 Main Street with an associated text amendment as well. So a complete application was received on December 16th, 2025 to rezone from 1 and 2 unit dwelling R2 to medium density residential R3. The primary purpose of this in the specific case was to allow for the change of use from two existing bed and breakfast units to dwelling units. And to allow this as well, it would require a text amendment to enable a change of use within an existing building. So we have up on the screen the location map, and probably the closest landmark to that would be the cemetery to slightly to the southeast, just off Southwest and Main. And with regards to the property itself, the PID, we've already mentioned, the current land use designation is residential. The zone is an R2, 1 and 2 unit dwelling, and the area of the property itself is just over 40,000 square feet and just under an acre in size. The general future land use map indicates that this area is primarily residential. That's showing in orange. The yellow areas to this sort of the bottom left or southeast of the page are institutional, and the green indicates open space along the trail. And with respect to the zoning map, again, it's situated within a cluster of residential, mostly R2, a few R1s off Main Street. Excuse me. So what we have done as staff is to review the rezoning application to ensure that it meets all criteria that council has set out for rezoning. So item 7, that's the first, and we note that it satisfies criteria A, in that the proposed zone is enabled by this plan for use within the same designation, so it can go in an R2 to R3 in the residential designation. Item 8, another set of criteria for, the particular one in question here is A, where we noted that the proposal is in concordance with the intent of the strategy and with the requirements of all other town bylaws and regulations. And lastly, item 9 basically describes greater development implications of rezoning a particular property. We talked about in previous meetings some of the development implications of where this is a larger lot for R3. With respect to land use bylaw, we did a preliminary review of that, and the subject property meets the minimum lot area and frontage for the R3 zone, and the proposed creation of multiple main buildings is permitted use within the R3 zone as well. A couple questions that came up at the public participation meeting with regards to the maximum number of units that could be permitted through a rezoning. And we noted that up to 32 units over 4 buildings could be created on this site in the future, and that a building permit would be required for the change of use that's also associated with this. We also received correspondence from the applicant, who's in the audience tonight, and they indicated that they have no interest in changing the current configuration, and the maximum, the build-out is not something that they're looking at this time. Just want to demonstrate the extent of the change, the text change as well. So it allows for a change of use to be permitted within the existing buildings. In this case, the issue is in the second line there, where they have less than the minimum setback to side or rear yard, in this case. So this would allow for a change of use in that type of a structure. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now invite the applicant up to speak if they wish.
Thank you. Good evening. This is a really interesting situation I found myself in. My wife and I and my family purchased this property in about 2021 from the then mayor of Kentville, and to the best of our knowledge, we purchased it as a single-family dwelling. It was sold to us as a house, not a bed and breakfast. It hadn't been operating as a bed and breakfast for some years. So this is strange. So what this application is for, just to reiterate Mr. Shoup's words, is to keep it as it is. We have no intention or desire to change the property or its current use. The reason this came about was because my wife wanted to start a business, the fibre loft, and as part of that, the fire department came and did a little look around and an assessment, and that threw light on the fact that we had more dwelling units than we were supposed to have for an R2 zone. So I feel a little bit like we've been sold something which it's a little bit odd. So it does seem strange, because I'm applying for this R3 zoning to just become compliant, and that's really it. Yeah. That's about all I have to say. Really, we purchased the house. You know, we moved to Kentville because we wanted to get out of the city. We were in Bedford at the time. It's a very attractive property. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's an old classic Victorian home. And really, the appeal for us was that it provided extra space for our growing family. We have a son who's just turned 30. Another one who's at Acadia University, and this gives them a really great place to kind of grow and have their own space without having to try and find a home of their own to buy, which is, as you're aware, not terribly easy for young people these days. So that's really what we're looking at, is to be able to continue with that dream that they'll have their own space. There's 2 apartments in the carriage house, and this gives them a little bit of independence. And allows us to continue growing our family.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant for clarification, or? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll open the floor to public comments. You never know. Somebody could walk in. It looks like not. Well, I want to thank everybody who's spoken. I guess don't need to call the applicant back up to answer any of the public comment, because there are none. This is an important part of council's decision, so I appreciate that. And there being nothing else, I will call this hearing adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.